What's up, boat lovers? Today we're working on a 2018 80-foot Marlow with Glendinning control issues. The captain states that when he's operating the boat, his control heads go into an alarm and then he has to reset. So we're here to determine what's going on with his control system, and also he wants to update his control system with backup. Watch us do this.
Easy, baby. Easy, baby. Easy, baby. Easy, baby.
Alright guys, this vessel is equipped with 3 stations. This is the main helm station. We're going to be putting a backup head on here that's going to look identical to this, but I'm going to show you the differences. Then we got a wing station here, which is on the port side. Here. And then we got a aft station here, which is here. All right, as you can see, we got the control head out. This is station 1. This was the original one at the main helm, and this is the backup. So the backup has an extra port. It's an analog, and it also has a digital signal. Now this control head is a little bit different. If you could see, this one's slightly deeper than this one because it has a set of backup pods. So there's 2 control heads in this one and only 1 in this one. But when you add the backup station, there's only 1 location that you could put it on the boat. So basically, we would end up putting it at the normal location where the captain would be operating his boat, which will be at the main helm. So we're gonna remove this, we're gonna add this, but we also have to run a harness for this, because when you activate backup, it completely takes all the dummy lights away, and you're gonna be only working off of the handles. So there's no indicators when you're in backup mode. And I'll show you that later on when we got the whole system connected. All right, guys, so now we need to go to the engine room, and I'll show you where the main processor's at. But now we need to locate a location for the analog box. There's a 5-foot harness. That's the inner link connector. And we have the other box. So we're gonna mount the analog box here. The inner link connects to this, and from here, all the information comes out of this box, goes into our backup box, and from the backup box, it goes to the engines and throttles, to the engines and transmissions, let me say. So these are Caterpillar engines with ZF transmissions. So all the information right now comes out of this box, goes to all the control heads, and then from this box, it goes to the engine and the transmission. So when we put the backup box, all the information is gonna come out of this box, go into the backup box. When the backup box is not activated, it's gonna normally go through its in and out and into the engine. But the digital signal comes from here and the analog signal comes from there. So when you activate the backup, it'll switch over into relays inside, and it'll be all analog on this one. So it'll have 2 systems in one. Okay, so I've already explained this portion to you. So now I've removed the chases on here to find out where my digital cables are running. So we got the cables, the digital cables running to the port side on this boat. We tried looking over here, it doesn't go this way. So the cables end up going that way. So now I'm gonna go to that corner, and I know it's gonna go through the bulkhead. So now I need to get on the other side of this wall to find out how to run my backup harness and my backup enable harness. Okay, we're trying to follow this cable. This is our digital cable. This comes up through here, and if you notice, they put a hole right through here. So I have a feeling that it either goes through here, but I can't find the cable running through here, but there's a cable that looks just like it in this corner right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and determine that on the other side of the wall. So it's a bunch of spray foam in that corner. So I'm gonna go on the other side of this bulkhead and see if that's our cable. Guys, we got a blob of wire here. So I'm gonna show you what we're gonna be doing. This is the backup analog harness. This goes from the engine room, from our backup box, all the way to the control head at the main helm. This is gonna be our enable harness that turns our backup box on. And then we're running an additional communication cable, NEMA cable, going up to the main helm. We suspect that there might be an issue with the communication to the main control head. So what we're gonna end up doing is running a whole new NEMA harness all the way up to the main helm. So it starts from this corner here, all the way in that corner, and then it goes forward on the port side of the boat. We had to remove a wine cooler, we had to remove a ice maker, and it goes underneath the stairways. I'm going to show you a little bit further where this goes. So in front of us is a tank, a fuel tank. All this here is a fuel tank. So we have to get beyond this, and I'm going to show you exactly where this is on the port side. I have my push rod or my pull rod. I'm going to go on the other side of this wall, reach my hand into the location where this rod is actually going to be coming through that forward bulkhead, and I got my harnesses. This is my communication harness, my NEMA harness. This is my enable harness for my backup, and then this is my communication analog that is going to the backup. So I got 3 harnesses, and that's going to actually be pulled through this wall to the port side, forward all the way up. I'm going to show you now. All right, we got it in the corner. All my cables here, it's going to go up through here. You have to pick out some of the foam in here in order to get to it. You can actually see some of the foam that we did there, but that's the actual buoy on the port side. So that's going to be pushed forward. I'm going to have Nicholas guide this cable in. I'm going to go on the other side and pull it so that we could get these 3 cables up to the main helm. Right, now I'm going to show you where I'm going to go into the hole. We're going to go into the hole. This is the area on this Marlow. You have to get down into this hole and remove this panel. There's an actual panel in here. That's the tank. And if you look a little bit further into here, you're going to see some light all the way in the back corner. Maybe. Not 100% sure. But all the way in the back corner is where that cable's going to come through. Alright, so now that we're through the port side bulkhead, you could actually see my pull stick right there. It's a little bit of manipulation getting into that corner, that back corner. But now the cables are going to come through here, go inside here, the back side of this wall, to the back of here, and then we're going to go into the AC room over here, right behind the stairways. From here, it goes up to that corner, then it shoots around this way, this way, this way, up to the main helm. All right, guys, we got the 3 harnesses pulled from the engine room. This is the port side. You can see the 3 gray cables there. They go along the whole back side of here, which is a nightmare. And they come out through here. So we got there. So we got access here from that location. Now they go into this tube here, which I'm going to show you. They go into this tube here, And we found the tube that goes from that portion down there all the way up. And you actually can see there is where they come out. So there's another tube that goes towards the back that we need to take one of these cables, the communication cables, to that station 2 control head, and then we're going to come back here, go around. Let me show you. Come through here. So the cables come up through here, go around through here, through the back, all the way to the port side, or the starboard side, I'm sorry, and into the control head there. So we need to make the cables go from here now to there. All right, so now that we have the cable coming all the way from the engine room, all the way upstairs, we have a little cubby hole over here that we're able to have the cables come out. Now I'm sending the cable to the port wing station, which has a chase. So we've already pulled the cable there because there was a pull cable inside there. But now we're gonna send the cable back because we need to make a loop. So if you see that we have our cable here, now on this portion here, I'm gonna be pulling the cable back because I got excess here on this side, so I can make a loop. And also I am pulling back my pull cable so that it'll be inside here for future use for another purpose. So I'm gonna have the engine room cable, one direct line from the engine room directly to here. Then from here, it's gonna daisy chain from that control head out, back, through its chase, around, and into our main control head there. All right, we pulled the cable back from the from that port wing, so you could actually see our pull cable here, and I pulled it back with this because we're using one continuous pull or one continuous length of comm cable, okay, which is the NEMA 2000, so the network cable. So now I have majority of it sitting here, which is uncut. So now we have both cables here. Now we need to go pull this from here back into that corner over there, which Nicholas is going to pull. Go ahead, pull, Nick. He's pulling the cable now. So now we're going to have our 2 cables here the way that we need to. So he's going to pull up all this wire here. And I'm going to tell him when to stop. Okay, stop. So, see, I got one run. Yeah, it's a little bit tedious doing it this way because you have a bunch of cable, but I find it a little bit easier. So now we know that this is one consistent run. So it's coming here, doing a loop, and going back. Okay, the reason why we're running new comm cables is this boat is experiencing communication errors, and we've been chasing it down. The factory, when they ran this cable, they buried this harness or this NEMA cable in this boat, and there's no way for us to even service it. They left this cable too short, and they used a Garmin cable to make a T. Well, not a T, an extension, so it could go to the other cable. So we're gonna eliminate these 2 wires, this harness here, which was built with the boat, and we're going to be running our new comm cables to that control head so it could daisy chain from the port wing station to the main helm. All right, so now we have a loop on this end. We're going to put 2 ends on here, field service ends. We have the cable coming over here. Now we need to figure out a way to get the cable to go through here, through that back wall, into here. So we're going to be using some sort of guide rods. See if we could get our hands back in there. There's a little crevice inside there that we could do it. So we're going to have to try to manipulate. There's no way that we could get our hands inside here to do what we need to do. So this is what we're gonna have to do to get this cable through here, is find a way. There's no other way except find it. All right, guys, so we got, you know, this spot here from the engine room. This is coming up this stairways up to this little cubby hole. So there's a little cover there. You remove that cover. Now, it was a little bit challenging to get a fish to go from back here all the way over here. So we got a fish pull wire, so you can actually see my cable. I've already fished it all the way back there. It sits on top of this box. There is no access to this boat at all, other than doing what I'm doing right now. So we got the cable here. You could actually see my end. So now I'm going to tie all these other cables to this pull cable, which is my communication cable. We're going to run along here, over here, and right into the main helm, right there. This is our port wing station, which is a daisy chain that goes to the wing station, out of the wing station, and into the main helm. So all I have to do is put heat shrink on this, close that up, and you can see the connections that we did here. This is our backup cable, and this is our comm cable. So, like I say, if you could make full pulls with both ends on there and you have the space to pull it, I emphasize that you do it that way. I do it this way. I'm trained. I've done it so many times, so that I know that if something does go wrong, I know I can fix this. We do have field service connectors, and we do have raw wire. So this is our backup enable circuit to turn it on. This is our backup analog, which I had to cut the end, and I had to actually do this. This is something that I wouldn't ask anybody to do, cut the end off. But since I have special kits for this and special tools, I'm able to do it. So guys, I'll continue showing what I had to do inside the engine room. Okay guys, before we turn on the control system, which I've already jumped ahead, I did turn it on to know which station or which cable was the one, so I can mark it for the main helm. But you could see that since we ran bare cable or raw cable, I put a connector here. This is the old comm cable that's going to be eliminated right here. That goes up inside here and gets buried somewhere. So this is the new cable that we put in there. My end, I have some heat shrink here. I'm going to clean that up. And like I say, you can actually see I have extra cable for service loop. Just in case something does go wrong in the future, there's a little bit more cable that I could pull out of this. This is a cable that's going to be to my backup processor, and this is going to be the enable circuit that turns the backup processor on. So that's coming soon. I took out the main processor. This is the backup processor, and like I said, the processor cables are going to be plugged into the backup processor, and they're all the same plugs. All you have to do is just move things around a little bit. So this used to be in the front, this used to be in the back, or this vice versa, if I'm not mistaken. The throttles were always in the back, the shift was in the front, but they're in the same orientation. So I got enough room here so I can move these cables around. This is my enable circuit. This is my power circuit, which is going to come into here. Now I need to take my communication, which is my device net cable, and that's actually going to be pulled back this way, down and into the main processor, which I have room to do that. This is my backup cable here that I have to terminate and put a plug on, so that will go into here, and then I utilize the same power here, which now I go into this junction box here and take power so I can plug into my main processor right here. And then after all that's done, then I could go ahead and connect this harness to the bottom over here, connect it into my main processor, and we're done.
A few minutes later.
As you can see, I got the main processor mounted. I got my backup processor. This is my enable circuit that goes from the main helm that turns that unit on when it's in normal run mode, but this is our backup. So this one also tells us, it has an indicator on the switch to tell us that it's in backup. So this is our 5-volt analog that goes from here all the way up to the main helm. In our earlier in my video, you actually seen how hard it was for me to run this. So this is the interlink connector that goes from this into the backup, and from the backup all the information goes to the engine and transmission. So this box does two things. This inputs the information from the main processor and goes out, and when you enable it, there's relays in there that closes that or opens the relays for normal run and backup. So I'll go ahead and show you, but we got everything all back together. Everything is secured. We got our bonding strips on there. So now I'm going to go up there to the main helm and I'm going to show you. So, all right, we're here at the main helm. I'm going to turn it on. I have my normal switch here and my backup. So both of them. This one illuminates when it's on, but there's no indicator on, so that works. I've already tested it. So we'll turn on the system. System comes on. When you turn on the backup, indicator comes on and it overrides that. This is a dual function control head. Has two purposes. So right now it's working off of analog. If we start up the engines, we'll be able to throttle and shift, which we've already done with the captain. You come over here, you turn it off, and the system turns back on. So you could either run it normal mode or in backup mode, but when backup is on, you're not going to have any illumination on any of the indicators there. All right, guys, it's a wrap on this boat. We updated his DeviceNet CAN bus circuit because we feel that there was a conflict or some sort of problem with the communication from the processor to the main control head, because it was daisy chained in a fashion that I didn't like. They ran short on one of the cables and they added an extension cable that wasn't compliable to our install. So what we end up doing is updating the DeviceNet cable. We've already tested the main processor. We already tested the other control heads, finding out that there was nothing wrong with it. So he has a new control head at the main helm station, which has a backup function built into it. So it is a dual function control head. We added his backup to the boat, which is an analog system. So all it is a flick of a switch, which I showed you. And when you activate it, it completely goes into analog and it shuts out the CAN bus. So he will never or should never have any problems. And if he does have problems with the normal system, all he has to do is turn it on. Guys, it was a little tedious running the harnesses, but we were able to get it done. But this boat is not easy, I could tell you. But we were able to do it. Guys, if you have any questions, please let us know in the comment section below. And like I say, like and subscribe.